Hello everybody, welcome to another Fab Lab tutorial. This one should be quick. I just want to go through, for those of you that are new designers, our objective is going to be just to go over some of the basic design fundamentals and ideas that I use when I design, including things like how to use layers, how to include notes sometimes if you're not making the project yourself, and also some shortcuts I use or just some kind of key commands or just kind of workflow that I do that I think that helps me design a little bit easier and design a little bit quicker. So to start off, let's just jump into a file that I have created. Now, the first thing I want to mention is that using layers is extremely helpful when designing with InkScape especially. A lot of my students that haven't designed at all before kind of forget about this, and it makes it really hard to edit some of their files sometimes, and they get kind of stuck and they make some mistakes. So what layers are, it's really like kind of putting your different design elements, zoom in this a little bit, your design elements in folders so you can kind of put them away and bring them back out when you need them. So for example, here I have a nameplate that I made for my door. Now it has a lot of pieces. It has my name, it has some decorations here on the bottom, it has my classroom number, it has this decoration in the back, it has the outlines I'm going to cut out. And right now they're all everywhere. They're all just on one. If you notice, I only have one layer over here. So it would be nice if I had multiple layers because maybe I want to turn my name off. Maybe I want to make a nameplate for another teacher, and I could go in and just click on here and retype in their name, but then I would lose my name. So maybe I would like to put have their name or my name, and I could turn one on or off. Or maybe I don't want to. I want a nameplate without the science department logo, or without the Fabville logo, and I don't want to delete my my artwork. I just want to be able to turn it off. And right now I can turn everything off or everything on. And sometimes also while I'm designing, I might want to freeze some things. So right now I can freeze the entire drawing where I can't click on stuff, or I can unfreeze it. So that's not very useful. It's just all sitting there. So what I would probably do here is make a bunch of layers. So I might make a layer for my name, and maybe so again I'm going to layer dialog. If that's not open, it's Control Shift L. Maybe I'll make a layer for the I don't know, the logos. And let's make a layer for the room number. And let's see what else. Let's make a layer for the cuts. So I always like to put cuts on their own layer if I can, just because it makes life easier. And again, if you make a mistake and your piece doesn't cut right, it might be because you have the wrong line size or something. And then you might want to go back and rerun your file, but not do all the etching again, just do the cutting. And if you have your cuts on their own layer, you can just turn all the other layers off and save the file with just the cuts. Just run the cuts and fix your file pretty quickly and pretty easily if you made a little mistake like that. So now to put things in layers, I'm just going to click on my name, right click on it. Once the layer is made, you can just right click on an element, move to layer, put down the name layer. I might have to reorder these afterwards, just I didn't think about that yet, but we can reorder them. So I'm going to click the two holes, and again I'm holding down shift. That's another thing I use a lot, is shift clicking. You might hear me say it in some of the other videos. It really saves you a lot of time. Instead of trying to draw a rectangle that includes just what you want, you can click things, hold down shift, and select as many things as you want, or deselect them again. And holding down shift lets you, whatever you select adds to it. If you don't hold down shift, if I click on the outline and then click on the circle, it unclicks the outline. So shift clicking is really helpful, and you should almost be trained if you're right-handed. Your right hand's on your mouse, your left hand is on the shift button and the control button, because they're extremely useful in InkScape. So I'm going to click those, right click, move those to the cuts layer. I'm going to, let's see, take the Fab Lab logo and the science logo, move those to the logos layer, take this element in the back, move that to the, what did I call that? Oh, I didn't make a thing for that. Let's make a decoration layer, and I will take that element in the back and move that to the decoration layer. And then the last thing is I'm going to move my name here, or the number, room number, not my name. Move that to the number layer, wherever that is, or room layer, I guess. And you might notice one thing happened there. When I did that, the decoration had covered up. I'm going to move this just so we can see it happen again. The decoration covered up and just kind of drew a line through that room number. Now the layers, again, they're stacked on top of each other. So the order you have them over here is going to be the order they're stacked. And right now I have the room on the bottom and the decoration on top of it. So because that, the decoration is going to be laid on top of that, I actually don't want that. So what I can do is just use the arrows down here. I'm going to move the room layer up above the decoration layer, and as I click it up one more, you can see now that is on top of it, and now they're stacked in the correct order. And so again, using layers helps you out a lot, because for example, say I don't want the FabBuild logo, I want just we move it back to its other space. My classroom is no longer the design lab, so that logo doesn't make sense. So I could put that on its own layer. So make a new layer called Fab, right click, put that on the Fab layer, and now if I wanted to print on one of these and not use that, but still have it because maybe it might move back again, I can just turn off that Fab layer and it disappears. I have the rest of my design is right there, and if I want it back, I can just turn it back on and view it back on and show it. So that's really nice. Again, the locking part, that's also nice too, because let's say I'm messing with these logos and I keep clicking this decoration by mistake and I move it around and it's getting annoying. I could go to the decoration layer, freeze it by clicking the little lock, and now I can't grab it. Now it's frozen in place. So again, using layers is extremely useful in any design, whether you're using Photoshop or Illustrator or Inkscape. That's what we use in the lab. So it's extremely useful and it's going to help you out a lot. Now the only other thing I wanted to talk about besides using layers, so again, some fundamentals of that using layers, is using notes. Now I have a laser cutter in my classroom, so I don't need to give a note to myself. I sometimes leave notes in my notebook, but sometimes when I'm making something, I maybe don't cut it right away, and I had some ideas about it. I wanted to cut it on a certain type of wood, and I just said, oh, this is going to look really good on walnut or something like that, and then I might forget about it later. So I like to sometimes add a note layer. So I'm just going to click here. Just add a layer. It can be anywhere. Maybe throw it on top, where I can type notes either to myself or type notes to or if you're a student of mine and you want me to cut something out for you and you send it to me, maybe you upload it to my Dropbox, and then I open it up and I'm like, what is this kid? Does he want it cut on wood? Does he want it cut in acrylic? Does he want it cut on leather? I don't know. So by leaving me a note though, it tells me any information I need to know about what you want this thing created on, or how it's being designed, or if you want it maybe on acrylic and you want it on the back instead of the front of the acrylic, so it's clear acrylic and it looks nice. But using that note, so I might say, leave a note, please cut on walnut, and I might even, just to make sure this person saw it, I'll make it really big, I'll change it to red so it blinks out on them. Now when this person opens this up and goes to make it for me, the note is blaring in their face saying, hey, please make this on walnut, or maybe it's to myself, I know what to cut it on, I have that piece of information, and it's on its own layer. Again, if you put it on top of the file, I have to go edit the file, it's annoying, but it's on its own layer. I can just turn that layer off, and now I can cut whatever's left. And so it's that information's still there. I can turn it off and turn it on. So whatever if you like, this needs screws of a certain size, or maybe you're halfway through a design and you want to leave a note to yourself on what you want to do next or where you were stuck on it, it's always nice to have a notes layer in your file just so the information is there, because I can't tell you how many times I've written things down and lost them, or be like, oh yeah, I should do this next time, and it's in my brain, and then you go to sleep the next day, it's gone, and you never get it back. So using notes can be pretty helpful. And the only other thing is shortcuts. You might have noticed there's a lot of key commands in Inkscape, so I would kind of get used to using those. Some of the ones that we use a lot, again, using Shift and using Control is used a lot. When you're resizing things, if you just resize something, it gets stretched like that. Holding down Control, remember, resizes it and keeps the ratios together. Holding down Shift resizes it based on the center. Holding down Shift and Control resizes it and keeps the ratio based on the center. So Shift and Control are very useful as key commands. The other ones you're going to use are probably Control Shift A. The align dialog is extremely useful for organizing your designs. Control Shift F. That is a shortcut that brings up the colors. Again, you can also use the bars here on the bottom. So if you want to change the color of something, you just click on the color down here and it changes the color. Another little shortcut is if you want to change the outline color, you hold down Shift and click on a color. That changes the outline color. And don't forget there's no color too. You can always change it back and get rid of it. So those are useful. Let's see what else might be useful. Control Shift L to bring up the layer dialog. Control Shift T brings up the text dialog, but you can also just use the text dialog on top, so you don't always need the text dialog. But those are the really mostly useful ones. And again, if you forget what a key command is, you can also go up to, I always forget what these are too. They're kind of hidden here somewhere. You'll see all the Shift Alt and Shift Control. So if you want the text dialog, go to text and it says Shift Control T, or Control Shift T, that's what I usually say. Layer dialog, There's how I bring in layers. So they're hidden up here sometimes, but it's really useful. On my site, I have that little shortcut document that tells you the main key commands. It's really useful to use the key commands, and speeds up your process a lot. Again, that's about it. If you're a designer, if you use Photoshop or something else and you have your own ideas, please use them. And we all develop our own style that helps us work faster. But if you're someone new to designing and you have no style, if you haven't really used any of those techniques yet, if you want to follow the ones I do, that might speed up your process and help you and keep you from having to look down at the keyboard or go try to find out where some button is. So thank you, and I will hopefully see you in another video.